Good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are. It's me again, Jen. Hello. And it is Wednesday, June the 17th. I just realized that this weekend is not only Father's Day, but it is the summer solstice. So I don't know. I may or may not have time to do something extra exciting for that. But until then, it is Wednesday, it is the middle of the week, and I have our card for the day. Aha! The Hanged Man. So I really think this is a fun card. I know it doesn't always mean positive things, but I always think that it's an interesting card to look at. And every deck I've seen has had like the coolest stuff going on with the Hanged Man, and this one is no different. So you have, it's interesting because like the wall that's coming from like this, it kind of looks like maybe it's a house. Oh, it's a weather vane. Okay, I thought it was a church, but it's a house. It's got like a weather vane up on top, which that's an interesting kind of side note there. So you've got this wall that kind of surrounds this little house, and the Hanged Man is kind of hanging by his foot right here. So you can kind of see there's like the curve of his foot goes around the wall. So it kind of like it's almost a more Mobius strip sort of thing going on with this wall. Is he behind the wall? Is he under the wall? Is he over the wall? Is he within the wall? Is he outside the wall? What is going on with this wall? So he's kind of part of it. Usually he's hanging and there's like a rope or something around his foot. But in this case, he's kind of hanging himself, which is an interesting way of looking at this card. So I see this, and again, the colors of this are kind of more muted other than his kind of motley outfit that he's wearing. His hat is somehow staying on even though he's hanging upside down, so I give him props for that. There is what kind of looks like maybe a tower in the background. At first I thought it was on fire, but I see now it's kind of like just the leaves are back there. So no, the tower is not on fire. It is not a preview to other future events of the tower and things like that. So the Hanged Man is typically kind of take a different perspective on things. While yes, he usually is tied up and it kind of looks like maybe he's in a bad way, and maybe somebody hung him there. In this case, it is himself that is kind of hanging. So he has turned himself upside down. He could let go at any point with his foot, and then yes, he would come crashing down, but he would be free of being upside down. So I kind of feel like in some ways this represents the meaning of the card a little bit better than him being tied up. The one thing I do notice is that usually the Hanged Man's feet are kind of, or his legs rather, are kind of in that figure four shape, which if you look into that, I probably won't have time to go into that a big deal in this short little video, but look into the meanings of the number 4. It's really kind of interesting. So like that figure 4, what I'm saying is like if you have one leg kind of like straight and the other leg kind of bent into it. Some people sleep comfortably that way. I do not sleep comfortably that way. But usually his legs are in a figure 4. He does have one leg kind of looking shorter than the other, so some of that representation is there, but not the full figure 4. So I do kind of miss that being in here as a part of the symbolism, but I do like, again, that he could get himself down anytime. So what the hangman usually represents is that you're kind of turned your perspective on its head. It is time to look at things differently. It is time to see the world from a different perspective, maybe a little upside down. So that's one of those things that is most important about this card is your perspective. This does not mean that chaos is going to ensue. It does not mean necessarily that things are going to be turned on their head. It is your perception of things. So the Hanged Man is very much about a personal perception. When it comes up in a reading, I ask people usually, hey, did you do something recently that maybe changed your opinion on something else? Have you been presented with new information that may change your opinion on something? I absolutely think this card is timely, and I know I've been getting a little bit more into like what current events are right now rather than just kind of sticking to a more personal reading of, hey, this is your day. But globally speaking, a lot of these cards that have been coming up have a lot of strong meanings. So, one of the things that this one has a strong meaning for is perspective, new information, and getting a different look at things. So normally we look at things and this is how we are, this is the way things have always been, but maybe now it's time to kind of turn things on their head. So that's kind of interesting. Usually there are some symbols in here, so I'm going to look around. We do have the symbol for Neptune. So for those of you who are unsure about like the zodiac and things like that, Neptune is kind of that, I won't really say transformational, but it's a little odd. There's usually something kind of strange about Neptune. Also, Neptune kind of represents that shifting. So I think that's a pretty good card, or a pretty good symbol to have on this card, is that shifting, that ebb and flow, and let's change. Neptune is also kind of a bit of a muse in some ways. So it does get your thought processes going. It does get you kind of thinking about things differently. So again, great application on this one. The other one, and I do confess, like this one's totally got me stumped. I have no idea what the little symbol is on there. So if you guys can see that, I would super love to have some comments on that one, because even though I have looked up several of the uh, Hebrew letters and I've started kind of studying them again, this one's a little more complicated. I think maybe I have seen it, but I don't want to screw up and I don't want to say that it's something that it's not. And it's not as like simply formed as some of the other ones where I can go, oh, I definitely recognize the shape of that. I definitely know that I saw that in my studies. So I I'm taking a different perspective today as well in my video and saying, please, if you know anything about this, I would love to see a comment or two about what is going on with that symbol and what you think it means. So I'm opening that up. Something a little different today. I'm not just teaching you guys, I'm helping you to kind of maybe discover something about each other and help me a little bit with the studies. Again, this deck being the Sakki-Sakki Tarot deck, she leans pretty heavily on a lot of the Hebrew kind of mythology, I guess, the Hebrew source of things. So if you look at different things about this, and maybe I'll go and do a video, maybe a special thing, who knows, about the tree of life, because she uses that a lot in kind of synchronizing the meanings of these cards. So in short, oh, the number on this one is 12. So I don't have a whole lot about that other than numerologically. 12s are kind of that, there were 12 disciples, there are 12 hours in the day, there are 12 zodiacs. 12 has always kind of been a magic number as well, being that it is divisible by 3, which we know 3s are super important as well in a lot of different numerological and mythological things. So I kind of see this as being a again a turning point in how we look at things, a turning point in how things are meant to be. So if you get the Hanged Man in a reading and you see the person is again kind of struggling maybe with some new information or seem like maybe they need to do look at something a little differently, present this as a card that is about perspective. You do not have to change your whole life. It's about just looking at something different and being open to that change. Change doesn't happen overnight. And in this case, he may be hanging there a while till the blood rushes to his head and things start working again. I don't know. But it's an interesting card to have come up because it's very much about personal perspective and where you're at. So look at things a little differently today. I guess that's kind of my way of closing this up is look at things different, open your mind to some different perspectives, and maybe ask some people who do have different perspectives about why those perspectives are part of their culture, part of their code. And I'm sure you both can learn something. So open up to other people, open up to yourself and your inner thoughts, and maybe let go a little bit and hang out. All right, if you're interested in having any other information about tarot, please check out my website. It's in the description below. If you're interested in lessons or a reading, any of those kinds of things, please reach out. I'm super excited, always interested in talking to people. We had our first successful tarot cafe here. It was a very small group, and it was really fun and interesting. So usually I'm doing things right now over the Zoom and the internet, but I am open to having very small groups come for certain things. So that's a thing too. And we are moving into summer and hot and all of those things. So please take care of yourselves and stay healthy, stay safe, and I will see you soon. Bye!